What's good, y'all? I'm here to talk about the buffs and changes I've made for Hisuian Electrode in my ROM hack. Normal Electrode will have their own video. They aren't actually done on the sheets yet because they're not related by evolution, and so you don't really need to know anything about Electrode to, because it's not like you can choose which one to evolve into. But I'll still briefly discuss on what I have planned for regular Electrode in this video as well. But Hisuian Electrode is super cool, but before I want to get into going into why I picked these abilities and the stats and all that stuff and all the crazy move changes and move synergies that are here, because this ROM hack revolves around all of the move changes. I recommend, number one, if you're new here, first of all, shout out to you. Second of all, I appreciate you clicking on the video, and I recommend you pause and read the description because I have a bullet point list explaining all of the basic background information about the ROM hack and the way it's balanced and just why things are the way they are. And then when you're done with the video, you can check out all the other playlists and links down below, the Google Sheet. Most importantly, on the Google Sheet, there is this move sheet where you can click on these categories and it'll take you to all the move archetypes in the game, which will be a very easy way to understand all the move changes. So yeah, give this all a look. It's very important. So yeah, when you're done with the video, of course, don't click off yet. It'll mess up the watch time. But yeah, with all that being said, Hisuian Electrode, Electric Grass, pretty cool, unique typing. Only other one in the game is what's his face, Rotom, and there's only Hisuian Electrode. So both Electrodes have the ability Galvanize and Berserk. Their last ability is the one that's different. So normal Electrode is gonna have 10 more special attack and 10 more Spadef and then lower Fizz Def, something along those lines. It's going to be stronger, a bit stronger, just because he doesn't have that dual stab combo, and then which definitely makes a difference. Like 10 special attack does make a difference when you're such a strong offensive Pokemon like this. Like it does help you get that extra oomph to kill things. But yeah, they both have Berserk because their whole thing is kind of related to getting angry. I mean, and like blowing up and shit. And then Galvanize is really cool just because their whole thing again is like electricity and like they're like the electric Pokemon, right? Like one of the electric like embodiments of electricity. So Galvanize, Berserk, very fitting abilities. And the last one is Solar Power, which makes a lot of sense when you consider Chloroblast, right? Like it's got that connection to the sun and to the sun energy, and also Solar Power hurting itself. I think Hisuian Electrode makes a lot of sense to like hurt itself when it attacks. So yeah, I chose not to give Reckless or anything lame like that because number one, I don't really want to craft an electric special recoil move. Physical recoil electric moves, there's plenty. There's Supercell Slam, Wild Charge, 100 base power, Volt Tackle, all that stuff. But on the special side, I have High Voltage, which is a Wicked Blow variant, but there's no recoil special electric move. And also, I just think that Galvanize is a lot cooler and more unique flavor-wise. Not very many Pokemon have it in this game. Because honestly, Galvanize can be kind of underwhelming outside of very specific moves like Fake Out, Extreme Speed, Tri Attack, stuff like that. Hyper Beam and Giga Impact are very strong with Galvanize. Hyper Beam is now functions like Jerko Meteor, right? So it's 150 power, so it's 180 with Galvanize, which is great. But you already have Zap Cannon, which is 140 power, which don't get it twisted. That's a big power difference because you're not even factoring in Stab yet, right? Like if you do all the math out, it's 210 power Zap Cannon versus like I can't even do math in my head right now. 260. 270 power is Hyper Beam, incredibly powerful Hyper Beam, right? And this thing is obviously incredibly fast. Special attack wise, like balance wise, it should be lower because something this fast. I mean, there are other Pokemon that are very fast like this that have like similar power levels. For example, Dragapult, right? 142 base speed, 100 special attack, 120 attack. However, Dragapult has that 50% boost from Mega Launcher. So it's not like it's insanely unique, but it's definitely like broken in the regard that you can switch around and just get kills, but because you're so fast, you don't have to worry about running like a speed boosting item or something else. You can just run whatever item you want half the time or some other cool utility item. So I made it like as flavor-wise, I don't think Electrode makes sense to have anything lower than 120. Like this thing is literally like the explosion mister, like explodes all over your face, right? So I don't know. I just think it makes sense for them to be really strong special attackers. However, they aren't actually glass cannons, so I opted not to make them glass cannons because I think, especially I think it's cool to make Hisuian Electrode more physically defensive because he's made out of wood, and then normal Electrode is like more specially defensive because he's got like that electric energy around him, and also just a bit more special attack, like I said earlier. But yeah, Solar Power is incredibly strong if you can. You could technically do Manual Sun, but the best way to use it would probably be to set up Sunny Day with somebody else on your team, and then like eject button out, for example. or switch move out into your, or if you have a drought Pokemon, it's obviously even easier, but even without drought, you don't need it to use solar power. You can just pivot into your Electrode, and now you're +1 special attack, and you got like 130 power solar beam, or 135 power solar beam, because it's 90 power, but it always crits, right? So solar beam, 135 power, you've got all types of powerful special electric moves that you could take advantage of, which I'll cover in a bit, and you have Weather Ball as well. So yeah, and you've also got some minor coverage moves. It doesn't need much coverage, right? Because it's got electric and grass already. And flavor-wise, it doesn't make much sense to learn some. That's another advantage I wanted to give to normal Electrode. I wanted a normal Electrode to have things like Dazzling Gleam and Psychic Noise and stuff, you know, like 85 power coverage moves there. But I don't want to give those to Hisuian, because Hisuian already has that grass stab, which obviously is like better offensively and also gives some extra resistances. Obviously, normal Electrode, you know, it's not weak to ice and fire and stuff. At least it resists a lot of flying, so there's some advantages there of being pure electric. But electric grass definitely like better for most situations, just for the extra resistance it gives you and the dual stab. But yeah, this thing is really cool defensive utility because of that fast leech seed, as well as Mega Drain and Parabolic Charge, both being 60 base power moves that heal you by 75% of HP that you take, right? So that's a lot of healing, a lot of healing. They're also really fast, so they can take advantage of things like Parting Shot and Topsy-Turvy, really? Not Topsy-Turvy, Parting Shot and my god, I can't speak English today. Strange Impulse, that's what I'm trying to say, which drops, Strange Impulse drops special attack by -2, and then Parting Shot is Parting Shot. So Parting Shot's distribution is actually much lower than it was in Sweltering Sun, but I think it makes a lot of sense for these guys, because they're kind of like shitheads, you know, like look at, especially normal Electrode. You could argue I could have given it only to normal Electrode to differentiate them a bit more, but I don't know, I think they both make a lot of sense to learn it. Like they're just kind of shitheads, like they amuse themselves by exploding, right, and they're just angry all the time, so I think it makes a lot of sense, although technically Hisuian Voltorb isn't actually angry all the time. But he does laugh a bunch, so there you go, Parting Shot still makes sense to me. Obviously Fast Screens is nice, Leech Seed, all that good stuff, right? Endure plus Berserk is incredibly powerful, and then Berserk is especially awesome with Mega Drain and Parabolic Charge. Early game, I mean in general, but especially like on Voltorb early game at level 15, you get the Parabolic Charge, Mega Drains, dual stab there. With Berserk, it's so easy to just keep boosting, and you're so fast. It's definitely very strong, right? That's what I'll say. It's very strong offensively. It's got some cool defensive utility too. Even stuff like, you know, fast taunt, etc. Rising voltage, if you set up electric terrain beforehand, is very strong. So Tri Attack is one of the main reasons I would abuse Galvanize, which is why I gave it so early on, because otherwise it's kind of underwhelming. Like for example, Berserk boosted Thunderbolt is stronger than Tri Attack with Galvanize. The benefit of Tri Attack is, number one, you don't have to lower your HP or like set it up at all, you just automatically have it. So like versus a lead, for example, you can just click Tri Attack straight off rip. You don't have to do any fancy switching or anything like that to set it up. And the second advantage, the main advantage, is that it's a multi-hit move, so it breaks through Focus Sash and multi-scale and energy shield and all this other stuff, which is definitely huge, especially on such a fast offensive Pokemon, because a lot of the things that are going to stop you from sweeping is going to be sashes, multi-scale, energy shield, sturdy, stuff like that. So that's very good. So yeah, Galvanize and Berserk, all three boosting abilities are great. All three offensive abilities are great in their own right. They all have their own use cases over one another, which is by design. I try to design all the Pokemon so they can be switching between abilities constantly. As for Hisuian Voltorb, they don't have Galvanize because it's useless up until you get Tri Attack. Yeah, Terra Blast and Swift exist, but you already have Shockwave and, you know, other electric moves. It's just not worth an ability slot over Berserk or Solar Power, literally ever. Almost ever. So Grassy Guard's a really cool early game ability for Voltorb up until the early and mid game. It makes it really cool defensively. You know, with the grassy terrain up, it's very bulky on the physical side with that +1 defense, and you can use stuff like Mega Drain, Parabolic Charge, Leech Seed, Synthesis, etc. to heal yourself. So even Recharge is very good on these guys, especially on a Grassy Guard set or a Berserk set. Berserk Recharge is super strong, but as well as, you know, just the healing from Parabolic and Mega Drain. So yeah, I love that these guys can take advantage of the healing moves because of their solid bulk overall. I mean, 70, 90, 80 with investment is very good. Another advantage is that you're so fast naturally, you don't have to invest in speed all the time to outspeed things on the opponent's team, like on the AI team. So you can run like max HP sometimes, right? And you don't even need max special attack every time to kill things either, especially with the Berserk boost. So honestly, a lot of the time, you'll be running like HP Fizz-Def, HP Spadef, and just get the boost from Berserk or Galvanize. You know, you don't need to even run investment half the time. So that's really good as well. As for strong electric base power moves, you've got Short Circuit, which drops your electric typing. It's basically special electric burn up. It's electric type burn up, right? So it paralyzes, and then it's 130 power, and it removes your electric typing, which is pretty unique and cool, and it can, you know, it has some cool defensive implications and utility implications there. Zap Cannon is a couple levels later, you know, a couple boss fights later. I think it's two or three boss fights later, which is even stronger, 140 power. And a really cool thing about something that's this fast is that you can click Zap Cannon, which functions like Jerko Meteor now, and then you can click High Voltage right after, which will always crit through the special attack drop. So that's a really good combo. And High Voltage in general is great because it's like very little drawback, right? You're so fast. So you don't need to, you're never going to need to run Scarf for the most part. So, you know, the drawback is very minor. Seed Flare gives you recoil. That's very, very nice. It's 120 power recoil move. Really, really strong grass move over Energy Ball, and obviously Solar Beam and Solar Power is incredibly strong too. Chloroblast is incredibly strong on these guys because it gives you +1 special attack now, and because you're so fast, so you can kind of snowball with Chloroblast. With Berserk or Solar Power. Keep in mind that Chloroblast does not trigger Berserk. I just got a text, hold on. Oh. Okay, that's the last video I can record for now. Yeah, Chloroblast is very strong with Berserk, so that's very. The thing, keep in mind though, it doesn't trigger Berserk, but what you can do is you can like switch in Chloroblast, blow something up, and then maybe heal with a Parabolic Charge, and then get a Berserk boost again. Honestly, anything more than +1 is overkill anyways. You're killing everything at +1 anyway, for the most part, so it's not super needed. Electro Shot is incredibly powerful on something that's this fast, and again, balance-wise, I probably shouldn't give it, but I just can't not. Like, it's such a fitting move, you know, they're literally like the Mr. Electric type, right? So, I just can't not get them Electro Shot. So it's at the very end of the game for a reason, and, you know, only the last 10 or so boss fights it's legal for, but it's still very, very, very strong. I mean, you get a free +1 special attack. Both Electro Shot and Chloroblast. So Electro Shot is at least somewhat balanced in that it requires a Power Herb. However, it's much stronger, much stronger move than Chloroblast. But Chloroblast doesn't require any item. And the HP drop doesn't matter if you're outspeeding and one-shotting everything anyway, right? So Chloroblast is basically just an it's like almost like a belly drum that also attacks at the same time. It's really, really strong. Belly drum is harder to pull off in game somewhat because you leave yourself open to an attack. But Chloroblast, if you're one-shotting them, you're not getting attacked. You just got a free boost in exchange for half your HP, and you got a free kill. So, yeah, Chloroblast only has 1 PP, so you have to keep that in mind. That's also that's mostly just so the AI can't abuse it. It doesn't kill itself, rather, because if I gave it more than 1 PP, the AI would kill themselves with Chloroblast or Steel Beam every time. So, same with Electro Shot, that only has 1 PP because I don't want the AI to spam it because they don't really realize if they have Power Herb or not, so they'll just use up the Power Herb and then click it again and then they die. So that's why they're 1 PP. Also just good for balance, like Rain Electro Shot is OP as hell, 100% accurate Electro Shot on any electric type. So the fact that it's 1 PP means you get a one-time nuke in the Rain, or you have to use Power Herb. That's also pretty cool in Rain because you got that Terrain Pulse too, so that's fun. And Thunder, right? So you got Thunder, Weather Ball, Thunder, and you know, you got your grass stab and all that fun stuff. So this guy's super straightforward, but super fun. Even Nasty Plot is really strong. I mean, again, flavor-wise, it just makes too much sense for me not to give it. Like, he just fits Nasty Plot. There's no way I don't give it, right? And again, setup is kind of overkill anyways. Like, yeah, Berserk, Nasty Plot, Focus Ash is pretty good, and you can like heal your HP back or just outspeed and kill everything anyway. Another really OP move on these guys is Electro Ball. So Electro Ball gives you +1 speed every time now, which is good for like middling, you know, it's really, because Electro Ball's speed calculation is really awkward. You can read more about that on your own, but basically it lets you snowball and get super fast really easily. So yeah, very strong move. Explosion, special move. That's not intended for the player to use because it's game bounce around nuzlockes and stuff. So, but you know, if you're not doing a nuzlocke, then you can just blow things up with special explosion. That's hold on, 450 base power with Galvanize, so yeah, incredibly strong, but obviously not intended for the player. AI though, it's very scary. So yeah, thanks for listening. I appreciate you if you made it to the end. I really do. Leave a comment down below. Again, cool utility options too. It's not purely just an offensive machine, although, you know, the early game I would say the utility stuff is even better on Gold Tour, but late game, you still can do utility stuff, but it's just so strong, like, you might not want to bother half the time. So yeah, regardless, I appreciate you listening all the way to the end. Make sure you drop a comment, and I'll be back for more coming up. Peace, y'all.